Hey everyone, this is my Module 5 submission, and this is my functional organizational structure of Conway Springs USD 356. Just to give a little bit background about the school, it is a two-way school. We have about 165 students within the high school between 9th and 12th grade. So because of our low enrollment, we do not have as many positions that I've seen in some of your guys' school districts where you have a lot of people. So it has been really interesting to compare my school with yours. So just looking at our hierarchy, we have at the very top, we have the board of directors, and they're a little bit separate from everybody else. So I'm just going to focus on them, and then when I come back down, I'll kind of tell you how I did my hierarchy. But with the board of directors, we have 7 members, and they're members of the community. And the person who goes directly to them is the superintendent. The board of directors, they really make all of the decisions, the hiring, the firing, based on what our school needs. And the superintendent works together with them to make sure that what the board of directors decide gets put into place here at the school. So how I created my hierarchy after that is I based it on the highest was the highest role and also the highest who gets paid, whether that be in a contract or salaried. So most everybody is salaried. If they have a dotted line, that means they are contracted hours. So they just get a one-time payment of $4,000 or $3,000 for being in that role. So we have the superintendent at the highest, and he makes all of the main decisions for our school that come from the government. So that could be based on COVID-19 restrictions, that could be state assessments. He really brings that information down to us and tells the principals what we need to focus on in each area of our school. So, and he has a lot more roles, obviously, that I don't know as much about, but he does a lot of the behind the scenes work to really make our school run fluent. So below that, the people that go direct to the superintendent is the elementary principal, the middle school principal, and our high school principal. And they go directly to them, and us teachers go directly to the principal. So, and one thing that's kind of unique about our school being a smaller district is that our middle school principal is also the AD. So I thought that was really cool and unique. And then for the high school, we do have our own athletic director who kind of has a lot of hands in a lot of things. He's a teacher, teaches PE for freshmen, and he does athletic directing, and he does a little bit of vice or assistant principal roles as well. But he really spends a lot of time being the athletic director for the high school. So. And then below that, below our principals, we have the teachers and the librarians, and then we also have the elementary counselors and the middle school and high school counselors. So we get paid all around the same. We need similar degrees to be able to hold those roles. Most of those hold a minimum as a bachelor's, but you can always get masters like some of us, but mostly you need a bachelor's to be in that position. And then I also have general staff goes directly to the superintendent as well, because our general staff kind of help all 3 schools run accordingly. And some of those general staff people, and we have one person for each role, and that would be our board clerk, an administrative assistant, the payroll clerk, the school nurse, the technology director, and the food service director. So all of these people will kind of float between all 3 schools. So even though they do direct towards the principal, the superintendent is their main focus that they need to go to for what they should be doing from day to day. So back to our hierarchy. And then for our more contracted hours, with our dotted line, we have our head coaches, our assistant coaches, and our non-athletics sponsors as well. And they go directly towards either the athletic director or the principal. So just to kind of help see where that goes. And I also put the high school coaches and sponsors are just a little bit higher and paid a little bit more than our middle school. So I added just a little bit of height between those two. And then going back up to our teachers, underneath the teachers and the librarian is our paras, and they kind of float between, and they don't need as much schooling as the teachers, and they get paid a little bit less as well. So that kind of shows in that hierarchy of sense. And then underneath all of us is I think the most important people, which is our administrative support staff, which is our secretaries and our registrar. Super important. They really help. They're the front face of when somebody comes into a school. They kind of can do so many things for us. And even though I have each school has their own secretaries, they all do help us. The elementary will help the high school. The high school will help the elementary side of the school. So they do all work together, and they do a lot of coordination with the mail, with telling people where they need to go. So I kind of put them all in one bucket, that they help all of us. So, and they go underneath the principal, but I also put them underneath us teachers because they do get paid a little less. And some of them also are contracted hours as well. And then underneath that, I have our janitors, our lawn workers, our bus drivers, and school lunch staff. So a lot of our general staff will be the head of them. So with like our school director or our school lunch food director, they will be above our school lunch staff. And then the same with the other directors. They kind of help organize them and make sure they're doing everything that they're contracted to do. The next thing I want to talk about is our high school student organizations with a sponsor. We also have our athletics sponsors as well, but I really wanted to focus on some of the areas of where our non-athletic high school sponsors also connect with. So there's different sponsors for each one, and some of them overlap as well. So we have our National Honor Society, Yearbook, Future Farmers of America, or FFA, Theater, Student Council, Cardinal Heirs, Project Prom, Pep Club, and then Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, which is FCCLA. So there's are some of the activities that our students can partake in. And one thing that's really interesting about our school is that each club has to have some kind of educational background that connects to it, besides our pep club, because they really help. They're the only club that really helps tell and coordinate what the school body is going to wear or do for sports games. So that is some of what our non-athletic high school sponsors run. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the leadership. I was looking through some of the resources for Module 5, and I found distributed leadership, which is a study in knowledge production. So this was the distributed leadership mapping that I found on the article. And something that when I was reading through the abstract, just to kind of explain it a little bit more, it is designed and deployed a mapping framework to present an analyze knowledge production and distributed leadership in schools. Positions are identified from within the field: functional, descriptive, and normative, critical, and socially critical. For each position, they examine the purposes, rationales, and narratives within selected texts that illuminate knowledge claims about what is known, what is worth knowing, and how it is known, and who the knowers are. Analyses have identified the prevalence and political dominance of functional approaches, and provides explanations regarding the interplay between the state, public policy, and preferred types of knowledge. So something that I thought was really cool was kind of how the map kind of broke down everything between the descriptive, normative, critical, and socially critical. And they kind of talked about the what, the how, the who, the why, and what makes it important for each part of this distributed leadership mapping. So it talks about how the principles, what their run is, and how they connect to each area of focus, and then how the field work is, how is it known, how does all this information of the leadership of knowledge production, how is it known for everybody in the district, who knows it, really shows like who has that area of specific critiques, and why is it known? Why is it important that this information is brought out to schools in our educational system? Why is it being distributed? So just kind of thought it was really interesting to look at distributed leadership and just different roles of what it takes to run a school, and who has hands in what, and the what, the how, and the who, and the why. So that is my Module 5. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing your school districts. Thanks. Bye.